It seems like our industry right now is going in all directions all at once, more so than usual. And it's going through some really unprecedented turbulence, whether it's due to COVID or due to the economy or due to the strikes or just the world in general. But it's really fractured, and it's under a lot of pressure. How are you hoping to help the industry move through that? How can the shows help?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the things that shows really do, especially during times when there's a lot of change happening and innovation happening, because some of this is happening because of new technology coming out, and as you said, all the other things that have kind of added up to it. But the great thing about what a trade show does is it gives us the opportunity to bring people together. It gives us the opportunity to have experts talk about what they're doing in their businesses that are maybe shifting and helping to change the trajectory of what's happening. It helps bring in new audiences. We can start introducing new groups and new attendee groups and buyers potentially here. And then we also get an opportunity to bring the education component to it. And so really helping to lean in on what are the trends that are impacting industry and how can you take advantage of them. And so I think that's, one of the nice, unique things about trade shows is that we have that opportunity to bring all that together at once and make it easier for people to find that information.
Karen Chupka took over the NAB shows about 6 months ago from the legendary Chris Brown. Karen, thanks for joining us today. It's been 6 months. How you doing?
Good, thank you. It's been a great 6 months. We've got to plan this event here in New York, which is actually almost, as you know, wrapping up today. But it's been a great event and a great opportunity to kind of come and experience this. This is my first NAB show in New York.
Well, I've been admiring the crowds that have come through here, and there's been a fair number of people. We're recording this early on the second day, and the crowds are not here yet, but yesterday was just packed, which is what you want.
Absolutely, yes. It was a good day. I felt like there were a couple times we were walking through the aisles and it was very crowded and a lot of good buzz. So yeah, it was a very good day.
How many people have registered?
So we had over 12,000 registered as of last night. And as far as people showing up for the day one, we surpassed our numbers from last year. So that was looking very strong yesterday afternoon. And we'll see, close of business yesterday and see how today goes.
You're co-partnering or sharing space with AES next door, which
Correct.
is the Audio Engineering Society. Was that by intent, or did it just work out that way?
It's actually worked out that way a couple of times now, and I think there's a lot of synergies between the two groups, and so when we can make it happen, we try to make it happen because our audience likes it, their audience likes it, so it makes sense.
When you plan a show, from what I've learned in talking with Chris over the years, is that show planning starts a couple of years before the actual show itself. And when you're on board just 6 months before a show, there's not a whole lot you can do to change the direction of the ship. But given the time that you've had, what were your goals for the show and what were you hoping to accomplish?
Coming new, you don't have any history of the show, and so the very first thing for me is to understand what was the NAB show New York, and who's coming to it. Like, what's the purpose? How's it kind of coming together? And so it was actually good because we got to dig into a little bit more of the data to try to help me understand who was coming to the show. And so probably about 2 months ago, when we started really digging into some of what was happening with registration and everything, we realized we had a really great story to start telling. And so we were able to put some of that into play, even though it was only about 8 weeks out from the show.
Okay, what's the story?
So the story is, of course, that New York is the media capital of the world, and 73% of our attendees that come here to the New York show do not come to NAB show in Las Vegas. Most of the people that are coming here are working in the production and their production teams, their engineers, their technical teams. They're coming from live, so they're covering everything from sports to news to production to what's happening on Broadway, and so they can't come. So NAB Show New York is the opportunity to really, for us, to bring the technology and the topics to them.
Now, I should mention, because it's worth mentioning, that you're not new to the trade show environment. You have participated in another small show somewhere else for a while. What was it?
That's true, yes. I worked for a couple decades at CES.
So large shows are not a stranger to you.
No, they're not. They're not. I've had the opportunity to work on a few.
It seems like our industry right now is going in all directions all at once, more so than usual. And it's going through some really unprecedented turbulence, whether it's due to COVID or due to the economy or due to the strikes or just the world in general. But it's really fractured, and it's under a lot of pressure. How are you hoping to help the industry move through that? How can the shows help?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the things that shows really do, especially during times when there's a lot of change happening and innovation happening, because some of this is happening because of new technology coming out, and as you said, all the other things that have kind of added up to it. But the great thing about what a trade show does is it gives us the opportunity to bring people together. It gives us the opportunity to have experts talk about what they're doing in their businesses that are maybe shifting and helping to change the trajectory of what's happening. It helps bring in new audiences. We can start introducing new groups and new attendee groups and buyers potentially here. And then we also get an opportunity to bring the education component to it. And so really helping to lean in on what are the trends that are impacting industry and how can you take advantage of them. And so I think that's, one of the nice, unique things about trade shows is that we have that opportunity to bring all that together at once and make it easier for people to find that information.
CES, by definition, was a consumer show. NAB, also by definition, is an industry or a business show. What do you see as the differences in your philosophy between the two shows?
I think for CES, what it had really grown into and emerged into is really the proving ground for technology. But I think what's here and what's different is that we're really focused on media and entertainment and what's happening in the media and entertainment industry. And the thing that I think sometimes people don't realize about the National Association of Broadcasters and our show here is that if you are a storyteller who is on TikTok or you're on television or you're doing cinematic, filming and production for the movies, we have the products and tools that you need to do all of that, and we can really help you not only find how to improve what you're doing, but also tools for monetization and helping to bring in different audiences. And so, I think sometimes people think of us as being the broadcast and the traditional high-end studio, which we are, and we have that, but we also have so many other things for so many other storytellers now.
Well, that was the theme you had in Las Vegas, which is the creator economy.
Absolutely.
And one of the themes that we've heard in the interviews throughout the yesterday and today has been that anybody that can tell a story has access to distribution. Mm-hmm. It may not be broadcast, but you can still reach a worldwide audience through social media or other things. How can the NAB show, which has so long structured the high end, reach out to that group of people which will never be on broadcast TV?
Yeah, I think that's some of the things that we're doing here by putting certain content on the stages, by making sure that we're aligning and having partnerships with groups that align with the creator economy, and also us doing a better message of making sure they know that they're welcome here and that we have the tools and technologies for them. Because again, I think everybody thinks sort of that broadcast high-end professional, which again we have, but we also have everything else in between, and so it's for us. I think it's making sure that everybody understands that they're welcomed here to come, and that they'll learn something, and that they'll get the tools and technologies that they need to advance their business. Whether that's they want to grow their TikTok presence, or they're really launching a podcast business or some other type of business in the media and entertainment space.
I think you have a unique position in the industry. Everybody that works for a company is pushing that company, which is what they're supposed to do. But you're looking at the entire industry. You see all the companies, large ones and small ones, because your goal is ultimately get them in the show. But more importantly is to look at where the industry is going. Mm-hmm. Where do you see the industry headed? I
think that's the interesting thing, because I think that there are a lot of great things. We know there was so much more content being produced today, and even when you look at who's coming to the NAB Show New York, we have people coming from like JP Morgan Chase. We have people coming from Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL, and it's all because they're using technology and video to tell their stories and to bring products to life and to bring their brands to life. And so I think for us, it's really to help everybody understand kind of what these new opportunities are and where there's opportunities for growth. And, the way we watch our content, the way we absorb our content now has changed so dramatically, but yet you think about the fact that people are viewing probably more content than ever before. So I think for us, it's a really unique opportunity to really bring everybody together and really showcase what's the best of the best, and what can we learn to take our industry forward.
There's a lot of reasons to be depressed about being in media today. Budgets are being pressed, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to flip the question around. What do you see as causes of being optimistic?
Well, I think anytime you are, as an industry, going through changes, it's tough in the middle of it. But when you get out to the other end, almost everything has changed and become better and created new opportunities. Think about that 20 years ago when, Napster came out, right? And it was going to be the end of the music industry. And yet look where we are today. You have Taylor Swift selling out concerts at, how big and how large, and Beyonce and other performers, and probably music is probably doing better than it ever would have done back then. But it's very uncomfortable while we all figure out the new business models. And that's where a trade show comes in handy, is that we have the opportunity to bring people together to figure out what those new business models are.
What are your hopes for Las Vegas in 2025?
Well, for 2025, I think it's coming together nicely, and we are going to lean more into the creator economy as well. There, artificial intelligence is going to be a big topic of ours, and we want to put a more emphasis on sports, because so much is happening right now in the broadcast side of it, and there's opportunities that are created as we roll into next gen television. So we have a lot of interesting topics that we'll be covering for NAB Show Las Vegas.
For people that haven't attended the NAB Show, why should they come?
Why they should come, because I think they would be surprised at the opportunities of what they can learn there and what they can see. Either, again, if you're creating content in any way, this is the place for you to come. You'll be surprised. There's a tool there for you. There's something that is going to take you and your business to another level. And I think that's what people are surprised by.